Griffin again. Last video we were doing arithmetic functions or arithmetic operations, but what I failed to mention was rules for var names. Well, they're the same as they are in C++. So a variable name can be basically alphanumeric with underscores, but it has to start with a letter, and well, really that's about it. And you can't use reserved words. So like cow Bob is equal to cow Bob something. That's a legal variable name. Cow camel case, legal variable name. Underscore cow Bob, legal variable name. Usually underscores in front of a variable name for a naming convention usually means it's private when you put it into a Python class. We'll talk about that later as well. You cannot start a variable name with a number. Doesn't like it. So those are those are the rules for creating variable names. Let's talk about some mathematical functions. So to use a mathematical function in Python, we have to include a library. So just some of the simple ones, there's so many. If you go to the documentation on python.org, let me drag one over. So here there's so many mathematical functions, but really what this is, we're talking about math functions, but really it's to show you how to import a library and call a function. So we want to import math. So the import statement is like pound include in C, and once you import math, it imports every single one of those functions. So that might be something we need to think about. So if I had like x is equal to 8.6, and then I wanted to print math.ceiling of x, save that. I'm going to use my terminal to run these. Oh, code. I opened the file previously. So the ceiling is 9, right? It rounded up. So we call a function using the dot operator. We're like, well, which function are you calling? Well, we're calling the ceiling function from the math library that we imported. And there's many other functions. I don't know that if I want to get into all of them. Maybe the power function, print math.power of some number, comma, to some value. And then, so Python's pretty good with big numbers as well. I wonder if we could go 2 to the 40 and see if it'll print out. C would start choking on stuff like this, but Python's like, alright. Alright, so that's importing from the math library. However, I remember I brought the browser over here and showed you that big list of functions that are in the math library. You don't always want to just say import math, which brings everything in to your file. Let's say we only wanted to use the ceiling function and the power function. Well, we can now say from math import ceiling. Or if I would spell it right. And then I think you can use a comma, but I like to put everything on the same line because it's self-documenting. Import power. And now we don't call them that way, right? Because, well, we don't have the entire math library, and we don't need to differentiate between what function we're calling. So I get rid of the math prefix, and we run it again, and we're good to go. Alright, that's it for this one. I'll see you in a minute.